Hi, good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us. We are guiding teens, and today's session is India Rising. It's really about the how the landscape of higher education, undergraduate higher education in India is changing, and what that means, and what are the opportunities for your teens. Um, so, for those of us who don't know us, we are Ramya and Sapna. We both spent the last decade as oh my gosh, sorry, as school counselors. And our goal with guiding teens is really to help you as parents become empowered to help your children make informed future choices. You can join our LinkedIn page or our WhatsApp community where we post a lot of information and events and newsletters and so on. And this recording will also be shared on the WhatsApp group as well as on our YouTube channel and our website. Okay, so the first thing is, as you know, you may also have been reading in the news, there is definitely a lot going on in the Indian higher education space. You routinely see articles about maybe IITs offering new courses and things like humanities, or international universities setting up campuses in India. So it's definitely, there are two different types, two broad categories of changes in Indian higher education. One is driven by the national education policy, and those include things like your course duration, multiple exit options after year one, year two, year three, and year four, standard 4-year course duration, and then the academic credit bank, which many of you, your schools by now, you might have gotten some sort of form to, or request to fill out a form for the APAR ID and things like that. And that is something that's kicked in. And a few universities in the last cycle have started asking for that ID to look at the credits. And that will pick up for sure if you're somebody in ninth or 10th by the time, your child gets to 12th, it's definitely going to be more of a normal thing. And then interdisciplinarity. And these are only a few things that we have listed. You can go look at the NEP document itself, which details, it's very easy to read actually, but it details a lot of path-breaking proposals for the college segment in India. And then the second is really more market-driven. As you guys also, as our community parents, we find that there's a lot of progressive thinking. Both students and parents want to look at things that are more meaningful, not just maybe rank driven or brand driven, but meaningful experiences, good learning, good opportunities for skill building, for internships, things like that, right? And so there is the market driven changes are one is that there are a lot more private colleges with some with very refreshingly new pedagogies and ways of operating. The second is, I think, in general, students, parents, I think because of this booming startup space in India, there is a lot of interest in entrepreneurship. And the third is internationalization, which we'll cover as a whole section. Okay, so I'll talk a little bit about NEP and then hand it off to Sapna to talk about the new models of, some of these new age universities in India. So the NEP one is, the 4-year degree, as we said, the course duration. The 4-year degrees are becoming more and more of a norm. And I think even more so than, this year you will see, I think some of the popular ones like DU have made it 4th year mandatory for all courses. And there, a few universities have exit options after three. I mean, not few, sorry. Anybody who has a 4-year structure has an exit option after 3 years. And typically, the 4th year at many of these places is for either research or you can add on a minor and things like that, right? And especially when you look at a master's in places like the US, which needs 16 years of education, this makes it an easier route for applying for a master's in those places. Some examples we've given here. This is from DU. On the left is from Delhi University's. It's from their, I think, from their Instagram or one of their social media pages, and so you can see the details of this 4-year structure. And on the right, there's an example from IIT Madras's degree in data science, and you can see they're very clearly laid out after every level what you can exit with. So after the first level, it's a certificate, first year. Second year, it's a diploma. Third year, it's a BSc degree. And the fourth year is a BSc degree with a BS degree with honors. I mean, usually there's a research component in there. Um, so so I think that's it. Yeah, and IIT Kharagpur has also introduced a multiple exit options, and many universities we will see over the next year or so that more and more such universities. And in the private space, actually, almost all the new age universities have adopted a uh, 4-year model. This is a little bit about the credit bank. And like we said, some universities last year have started asking for this APAR ID for students. Um, and then interdisciplinarity is something again that even your traditional universities like IITs, which are of course technology schools, but they have started offering more interdisciplinary programs. So there are some examples here from the university websites, and DU also has something which is through their Cluster Innovation Center. So these are just some examples of how even traditional universities in India are embracing some of the changes that have been laid out in the NEP. And with that, I'll hand it to Sapna to talk about the new age universities.
Hi. As Ramya mentioned, that the education scene in India is very, very different today than it was even a decade back. And I think one of the biggest things that has changed is the huge number of private universities that have come up. A total of 140 private universities have been established across the country in the last 5 years alone. And within the next 2 years, actually, many more are being established. And we will touch upon that, especially a lot of international universities that are coming up in India now with campuses here. Um, the Gift City and others you've already heard about. One of the biggest things that, yeah, Ramya, you can go to the next one. One of the biggest things that you will see that the private university model has brought in India is the whole liberal arts and liberal sciences model. What does this model really mean? Some of you may already be familiar with what liberal arts and sciences models mean, but it was not something that was available in India earlier, so we'll spend some time explaining this. We call it liberal arts in short, but it's actually liberal arts and sciences in most cases. Now, every university interprets its liberal arts and sciences program a little differently. Depends from university to university what are the various subjects they're offering. Most universities that are offering a liberal arts and science program will have some humanities, social sciences subjects, but they will also offer some science subjects. Some of them, and that's an exception, will also offer a couple of professional subjects, so like BBA or engineering. Um, the biggest factor of a liberal arts and science program is that the starting 1 year usually, and sometimes it could be 18 months, sometimes it could be 2 years, it depends again from university to university. There would be some amount of what is usually called the general curriculum. It could be called the core curriculum, the general curriculum, requirements, Gen requirements. There could be different terms given to it. But basically, what it means is that there is a certain amount of coursework, about 30% of coursework, that all students, no matter what major they're doing, are expected to complete. Now, this coursework and again, every university has the flexibility to design what their coursework looks like. So, when you look at a liberal arts college, say Ashoka, say an Ahmedabad University in India, or a Kriya in India, or a Flame, you look at the general education or the core education requirements, and you will see that they're little differently placed, each one of them. And then the student is free to take certain electives, and then the credits in those electives then go towards their major requirements. So you can specialize in psychology, you can do a major in economics, you can do a major in physics. It really depends on whichever subject you want. You can also add minors in most cases. So that's why we say there's flexibility in the program itself. In most liberal arts colleges, the admissions are holistic. What that basically means is it's not only based on your transcripts. Of course, your transcripts and your marks are important. But besides that, most of them will have an essay requirement. They will see what are the other activities that you've done in school. So a bit of your CV and the things that you've done in school will matter. Some of them may have interviews. So they have a more holistic admission process. Many of them have a very global faculty, so faculty who's either taught abroad or even visiting faculty from foreign campuses. The pedagogy is also a bit more international. There are usually undergraduate research opportunities. Research is highly encouraged at the undergrad level in these colleges. Some of them have industry academia collaboration. So some of them will have uh, the industry that has helped create certain programs, or industry that has helped to is providing, say, internships, or has helped guide the programs content, stuff like that. And several of them offer internationalization in terms that they offer either semesters abroad, they offer other kinds of things, programs, and teachers, faculty from abroad. We can go to the next. So this is what I was explaining. So usually what a liberal arts college program looks like, uh, uh, you will have some generate requirements. So 2 semesters, 5 classes, as this is just an example. It could vary from college to college, but say 40 credits will go into, generate requirements. Then there's major, there's minor that you can take, and electives that you can take apart from. Supposing you decided to want to study psychology, but you could take an elective in biology, in economics, in creative writing, and that will go towards your degree. So it's not wasted, it's part of your degree, but it's apart from your major. So the degree itself becomes much more well-rounded. And as a student goes along, there's a sense of, I enjoy the subject, probably I can add a minor in the subject. So they have some ability to kind of, tailor the degree as they go along. We can go. Okay, so some of the popular private new universities in liberal educations: Ashoka, Kriya, Flame, Sai University, Ahmedabad, Azim Premji, Rishi Hood, RV University, Thapar, Arts and Sciences, Nayanta. I think probably we can add a Mahe in this one now. Uh, so Manipal, the main campus, is started at the Art and Humanities section, which functions like a liberal arts curriculum. Then there are those which are blending traditional with liberal education principles. So Plaksha, which is like a BTech, very much like a liberal, in the sense that a child is free to choose any of the 4 streams that they're offering after they're admitted. But it's a BTech program, very interesting liberal arts, liberal science kind of a concept. Shivnada University, which is largely science and tech, but also offers some wonderful programs in economics and other such BBA and other such things. Vijay Bhumi University, which is a little bit of a different interpretation of liberal. So they are a liberal arts program, but they do give professional degrees that we spoke about earlier. So they give business degrees, they give some amount of engineering and some amount of fine arts and design degrees. Mahindra University, which does STEM and business. Uh, then Anant National University, which is basically has a lot of offerings, but they have a great architecture program. They have design. There's Voxen, which has a very multimodal kind of a concept. There's Atlas Skill Tech. Again, it offers a wide range of programs. There's Atria, which actually is interesting in the sense that you don't need to have studied sciences to take admission for a BTech degree. So those are some of these. Then there's specialized industry-led. So like Ramya mentioned, entrepreneurship has become big in the country, and some universities like Masters Union specifically, and then this Bauer School of Entrepreneurship, um, they are basically, it's like a project-based model of education where a student literally builds a small business in a team every semester. So it's more do and learn kind of a concept. The same for Scalar School of Technology, though their degrees are mainly tech degrees. And the School of Luxury Retail and Management that's opened up in Bombay, that's focusing on the luxury retail and management business. Then there are some popular progressive schools like Shulini University that has a lot of biotech, and it has everything, but it also has a lot of biology and biotech kind of programs. There's UPS in Dehradun, very wide range of programs, everything from engineering to business to regular science and art programs. VIT, Amity, Mahe that we mentioned earlier, Symbiosis, SRM, OP Jindal Global, Christ University, NMIMS Chitkara. Most of these universities do have a lot of international collaborations also. I think we can go to the next. Okay, so you want to come up, talk about this, Ramya?
I mean, sure. Do you want to take us through this
Okay,
section? Sorry.
right. So from we just picked up a couple just to kind of give you some idea about what these programs look like. I think Ashoka University was one of the newer universities. They established the liberal arts program pretty much towards the beginning of this whole thing. They've made quite a name for themselves in the past few years. They are offering majors, 72 majors, 9 mandatory foundation programs, 36 credits. So 72 credits, sorry, not 72 majors. So this is how they divide the degree. The total number of credits that you need to get an Ashoka degree is 160 credits, of which 36 will come out of the 9 mandatory foundation programs, which they call like the core, their foundation program, the core curriculum or the general ed requirements. Every student at Ashoka will have to do this regardless of what major they want to do. And if a student wants to add 24 credits in any one or 16 in any, then they can also add a minor or concentration. And it's up to them. So they could do one major, that would be say 72 plus 36. So they have about 108. And then whatever's left, either they can add, I've seen kids add two minors sometimes, or they could keep it open and just explore a large range of interests. So that's how they do this in a Shoka. The foundation program is interesting. These are the 9 areas that they kind of talk about, that the program is structured towards. Now, what is interesting, it's say one is great books. Now, this comes from Yale. If you've heard of Yale, has this great books program, right? And they run it through the year. It's almost similar concept. The professor will pick up a book, so it'll look different from year to year. It's not like like every student will do the same book. The book will be different every year. So it's a very interesting exercise. Then there's quant reasoning and mathematics. No matter what subject you're doing, you could be doing philosophy, you could be doing psychology, sociology, whatever you're doing, you would be doing some of this. There'll be principles of science, there's mind and behavior, literature in the world, Indian civilization, environmental studies, economics, politics, and society. What they're basically giving you is they're equipping you with different lenses to look at whatever you are studying, right? And also in today's world, what happens is, I mean, we've all heard this several times that you'll be changing careers, you'll be changing domains very, very fast. So this kind of a holistic preparation, not only to show at any of the liberal arts colleges, basically equips the students to become more flexible, to kind of move within the domains more easily. Rami, we can go to the next one. Plaksha University. Why we took this example is because it was one of the first to do the similar thing for BTech. So they're offering BTech in these 4 programs: biological systems and engineering, data science, economics and business, computer science and engineering, robotics, cyber physical systems. One, you will notice that the names are very different in the civil, mechanical, electrical that we're used to. Then when you look at they call it Freshmore College. The first 2 years is called Freshmore College. That's where the general requirements, the general education requirements come in. And if you look at it, they've given so they have these 5 areas of gen ed: self and leadership at the bottom, humanities and social sciences, math foundations, computing and data science, and technical core. So these 5 become core education requirements that every student will do, right? And when you look at they've kind of color coded and given us the pathway that they'll follow in the first 3 semesters. So every student will get these 5 technical core requirements done. Now, when you look at this core requirements, what's very visible is that they're not only focusing on engineering and technology, they're definitely focusing on engineering and technology and math, but they also, no matter what you're pursuing, your computing and data science is there, humanities and social science is there, and then self and leadership is there. What the critique that we've often heard of engineers is that they are great at what they do, but they don't know how to relate, they don't know how to communicate it, they don't know how to kind of place it in the larger context of the world. So this is the kind of question that universities like Plaksha, other universities also like Plaksha, are kind of trying to tackle. We can go to the next one. Then there's Kriya University. Kriya University it calls it interwoven learning. It's just a term basically. Again, they are kind of focusing on, they have a course structure, the course structure, and they have some skill courses, they have some core courses, and then they have majors and minors just like anything else. So they have writing intensive, ethics, interdisciplinary, immersive experience, historicity, impact of evolving technologies, data analytics, right? So I think what we're trying to explain to you is that in the liberal arts course programs that you see, there's always a core or a general education requirement, and this sets apart one university from another, because this how the university interprets the general ed is what sets it apart from others. So that is something that you should be looking at. Yeah, I think we can move on. Uh, Christ University.
Sapna, I'll take this one,
Yeah,
and
okay.
if that's fine.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is an interesting one from Christ, and I think when we talked earlier about especially some of those when we said industry led, right, like things like Scalar and Masters Union and Bauer and things like that. The really, I think a few universities, and hopefully a lot will start to do it more and more, is that they are really trying to bring that industry integration in. This program is just, it's a very small program, but it is deeply integrated with industry. And I almost by chance happened to find out about it because I know somebody from Mu Sigma that we wanted to come and do a career series for us. But it's basically where students, it is the entire curriculum for this decision science is deeply co-created with Mu Sigma, which is a decision sciences company. And so students spend, it's almost like every week, they spend some part of it in classroom sessions, but then they go out into the company and they actually do, they basically interning for, big chunks of time. I can't remember the exact split, but they're spending a lot of time in the real world, on a week to week basis, applying the things that they learn. So this is something that's really an interesting model. And if you look at things like Scalar and Masters Union, the same thing happens. The practitioners are the people teaching the courses. So you will have people who have startups who are coming and helping students understand how to, create a pitch deck or like raise funds or, different things. And even like Sapna said, even the challenges that the projects that they have are very, very cutting edge, relevant to today's world, not theoretical things. So this was, we thought an interesting one. So some of the newer models of education in India, some not newer models, right now this is what exists, right? So in the interest of just put that out there. So there are the traditional models still, and yes, while everybody is moving to a 4-year degree, there are still some 3-year degrees. There are many 3-year degrees still, but eventually it'll all become standardized. And then, of course, you have the 4-year degrees, and then the 5.5 years is for your, the 5-year architecture, the 5.5-year medicine, and things like that. That's the traditional model. And then the NEP, like we said, the last data we can't get, I mean, we couldn't find more recent data than 2024 Feb, but this number hopefully has at least increased by 25-30%, I would imagine, by 2025. There are a lot more universities doing the 4-year degree program, undergrad program, even for non-technology, non-BE. Then there are foreign universities with teaching centers in India. So the most popular one is University of London. So this model is where the curriculum and the certification and everything comes from the University of London, but the teaching is done by professors here in India. And obviously, the location is in India, in different colleges in India. So you do save a lot of money, but your degree says University of London. And then Instituto Maranjani, which is a design school, has a similar model. Foreign university campuses in India, we have a section on this. So and you must have read it in the paper as well. We'll talk about some of the pros and cons. Then SP Jain is a slightly different beast. So it is part of a global program where they have you study 1 year each in different parts in the world of the world. So they have London, they have was it Sydney or Melbourne? I can't remember.
They
They
have
have
in
one in
Melbourne.
Melbourne, yes, Melbourne, and then they have Dubai, Singapore, Mumbai. So
Now also
um,
UK. They've added UK again.
right. I thought London specifically.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, you said
So
London. Yeah,
yeah,
I'm so sorry. I didn't
yeah.
hear. Yeah.
And what's interesting is, so you do part of the program is in India, but it's very much a global program. And depending on where you graduate from, so for example, if you do your last 2 years in the UK, then you get the post-study work visa for the UK, similarly for Australia. Then you have this Amity's three continent program, which is, it's mainly in India, but you'd spend, I
A
believe, a
semester.
few weeks,
Yeah, a
yeah,
semester, I
or a
think.
semester in a different, abroad in one of the partner universities. And then twinning is also becoming very popular, and we have a few examples in the next slide, but there is a document that we will share. We'll create a bit of a resource pack and share the QR code on our WhatsApp group. Um, and because there's a lot of twinning and 1+2 kind of combinations right now. And then the distance learning model. So IIT Madras, I think at this point, everybody knows about their Bachelor of Data Science program. If you don't, it's a pretty cool program. You can even do it as a certificate or diploma course. It's become very popular with some engineering schools, kids who are doing the regular engineering but want to get this IIT certification, and then they end up doing that course as well. Not as a degree because the UGC doesn't allow that, but you can definitely do it as a course. And a few others, right, which offer online. And there are restrictions as to who can offer online courses. It has to be a certain ranked university as per the NIRF and so on. Okay, so this is really oh, okay, we're okay on time, I think. Um, all right, so this was something that one of these Dr. Bhavna Kumar, she does a lot of work in this space. She used to be at Amity. But anyway, so this transnational education can take many forms, right? And this is what we mean by when we use the term internationalization or TNE, transnational education. So I won't go through all, but these are some of the ways that a lot of universities, earlier Sapna had said, a lot of these progressive universities are having these international tie-ups. So it can take some or many of these forms. So starting with things like the dual degree to study abroad agreements or even research agreements, micro credentials, and so many others. Uh, so one form of internationalization, and this has happened less, is Indian universities setting up branch campuses abroad. So this is a prominent example with IIT Madras in Zanzibar and IIT Delhi in Abu Dhabi. The more popular one that is increasing a lot in this transnational education space is foreign universities setting up branch campuses. So, as of last month, 15 foreign universities have signed the letter of intent with the Indian, the government to set up branch campuses in India, and that list is in the next slide. Some that are already open are on the left here. So, of these, the most prominent one is probably University of Southampton, Delhi. It is a Russell Group University, which means it is one of the top-ranked research universities in the UK. And they are open. They have actually taken admissions for this year, and you can try and visit, I think, if you're interested. This is the other foreign universities who are in different stages of talks, and these are the places where they will be coming up. So it's really interesting. I think one thing to mention here is that the Gift City campuses are not accredited by the UGC, whereas the University of Southampton is. Um, so, something to basically keep in mind. Um, so it's a mix of universities, not that many US ones, but definitely, more of Australia. There's a lot of Australia actually, and then a few from the UK. Um, the other part, like we said, is the 2+2. So this can take different forms, right? It can be called a dual degree or it can be a twinning program. Um, and typically the model is that you start off in India and you do either 1 year or 2 years, or sometimes even 3 years in India. So it's either 1+2 or 1+3, or depending on, different the duration of the program itself. And these are some of the universities. We do have a link, but like we said, we'll share it on our WhatsApp group because it's a much longer list that Sapna has actually kindly col collated for her school and for all of us. Um, Anything here that I'm forgetting to mention, Sapna? It's just
Not
like,
really.
yeah.
Not really. This is all right. Yeah.
Yeah,
We
typically
covered it.
you will get your degree from the partner institution. And so it's a good model to look at, right? And one thing to remember to keep in mind if you're a 12th grader, especially, and you're applying, sometimes there's like extra steps for application, and this can, like even some of these universities, for them it's new. So when you're talking to, let's say, a Shulni University or like Mahindra, just make sure you're very specific that you want to apply it to this, like sort of interested in this combination program, because that can add on additional steps in the application process. Some other ways of international collaborations would be, like we said, exchange, like either research collaborations or study abroad and things like that. So, if you look at some of these universities, like Jindal mentions on their university website, 500 plus collaborations with international universities. Actually, lot of those are also in the space of, they do summer programs, but there's a lot with the law school at Jindal that they do with international universities. Similarly, Shivnadar has this, list of on their website. So all the universities will detail the names as well as what kind of partnership. Um, okay. Sapna, do you want to take
Yeah. There was one
this?
question about the pros and cons of foreign university campuses in India. Do you want to take it up right now or towards the end?
Um, I think we'll finish because this is the last section
Okay,
really, and
fine,
then we'll
great.
just open it up for discussion and
Right.
questions.
So this is like we've just kind of given a broad range of costs, right? So, what does a degree in India cost? So I think most of us are familiar with the IIT costs, and that's given here. But then when you look at it, say Ashoka University costs about 10 and a half lakhs. Um, and then, of course, this online campus living cost, this I am Indore, which is about 7.5 lakhs for the 5 year program. And then it includes the on campus living actually. NMIMS at about 7 lakhs and 2.5, 2.7 for the staying. So you can see there's a wide range. Of course, the traditional colleges like Delhi University, the cost is much lower. But then we have to remember that a lot of that is basically because of the taxpayers' money that's going towards running these universities. The private universities don't have that benefit. So a lot of the money, it's not. Sometimes they're unfairly spoken of as people who are out to make money. It's not. It's not as simple as that. Many of these are CSR initiatives and are being run not for profit completely, but just because they don't have any taxpayers' money that's feeding into the costs, of course, the cost is a little higher. I think, do we want to talk about anything here besides this?
No, I think scholarships, many of them
Yeah.
are, yeah.
Especially the private universities like Ashoka, Kriya, Flame, all of them are offering need-based scholarships, of course, which means that you have to submit, the parents have to submit their IT returns, And so basically, they have a little form which you need to fill, saying what kind of income you have, what kind of assets you have, and if you qualify, most of them are offering up to 100% scholarship. Um, some of them are also offering merit scholarships, which are based on the student's performance. But they're not that many merit scholarships in many of these colleges, but they do exist. So you should
Yeah.
definitely check that out. And they're pretty lenient, I would say, with the financial aid, especially if you're service class, if you're in the army, a lot of that is taken care of. So you should definitely look up that option.
Yeah, one of the notable merit scholarships in this space is Ahmedabad University has a Mahatma Gandhi. That's a
100%.
full ride,
It's a full ride,
full
and it
tuition.
is not need based. So
Yeah, it's
that is
merit.
merit. It's merit. I've had one of my students get it. It is not that difficult to get, but it is a very, very good scholarship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, Sorry, just finding the arrow. Okay, so somebody had asked for placements, and really we get it. We've we've been as school counselors. I think what is nice is we have, unlike like more people in the independent space, we get to see the whole spectrum, right? We have kids applying, going the NEET JEE route. We have kids applying to private universities in India. We have kids applying to all over the world. It's not just even abroad, it's not just US. We have students applying pretty much everywhere you can think of, really, including places like South Korea and stuff. So one of the things we understand, that having talked to so many parents over the years, is placements are important, right? And please believe us when we say we try to put so much pressure on universities, new age universities, to share their placement results. And even after a lot of sort of coaxing, I mean, it's a challenge, and so we completely understand. So what we have been able to gather, we keep putting them in. You can scan the QR code. I think it works. Sorry, we haven't checked that. We did one version of this earlier in the year, and we didn't record it.
Yeah,
But
that's fine. It will
uh,
work. Mm.
yeah, but so this is what was from last year's placement, and we will update it. Once we have this year's placement, we'll keep updating and we'll keep pushing universities to share this. But this is what was shared. So we tried to put it side by side. Some give you median, some give you a range, some give you an average. But so Ashoka is pretty transparent at this point with it because they are very happy with their placements. So they claim 100% of students from the class of 2024 were placed within a year. Plaksha, this number might have hit 100
I
because
think it
we
has hit
got,
100 now. Yeah.
yes, because we got this data, and this is
February.
their, I believe, first graduating
It's a
class, right?
first
Or maybe
batch.
first. So they're also very proud of their placements, and because we
Fantastic.
gathered this data sometime in April, May, but since then they have definitely updated it, and we will update it as well. The others, whatever they shared, we have put it here, and the actual reports they shared, we put it in the drive. So
But
please do take a
I
look.
want to kind of add a disclaimer here. I wonder why we only pressurize the new age universities to give this data. None of the old established universities are giving this data. You can't ask for this data from Delhi University. There's no data available. Even IIT is very close about. I mean, they do give some data, but it's all over the place, right? So we have to understand that bachelor's programs don't always have very clear outcomes, and it may be a little difficult to get that data. So while, yeah, we should hold universities, we should require them to give this data, but we should also require the old, more established universities to share this data. It should not only be a pressure on the new age universities.
Yeah, I think, yeah. I mean, there's one of the things that, and we will try to do more of these. We had those student panels. I think talking to students who are studying
Yeah,
at these
it gives you
universities
really
is
good
one of
insight.
the, best things you can do. And of course, I think, I believe at least half of our parent community, the students go to schools where there is a counselor, so maybe they do have some sort of university fairs and things like that. If not, please, just put it on our WhatsApp group, and we are happy to
I'll
conduct
find
a
it.
Indian University virtual fair for you guys at some point. Not some point soon. Also, we can do it reasonably
Yeah.
easily. So, But when you talk to universities, also ask them just general outcomes too, right? Not just maybe placements, but for example, the liberal arts philosophy, if you talk to Ashoka or Flame or Kriya, is even though they do share placements, places like Ashoka, the philosophy is not to get you ready for it's to really develop, to make you a thinker, to make you somebody who in the long run will be very successful, because you've cultivated that sort of life of the mind. So some of them have this just philosophy that, we're not putting out placement reports because that is not our main objective. And so for some, the majority may be going for a master's. And so, this, for example, oh, I'm sorry. So when we asked, for example, Flame, this is kind of what they gave us. And as you can see, the kind of places, the universities that students go on to for higher education is really impressive. Um, and that so it's just information, right? For you to make a decision. And then other things beyond placements, beyond post graduation in outcomes is, what kind of learning, and all of these universities, especially the newer ones, they all have their faculty profiles. So please go through. I mean, they have seriously impressive faculty, most of them. And then also, like Sapna said, what are you comparing it to, right? Are we making unfair comparisons just because these are newer universities? Um, and then the thing to keep in mind also is, and this is something we'll cover on Saturday when we do our application workshop, many new universities have uh,
Admission.
multiple rounds of admission. Sorry, I'm blanking out today. And then also the admissions process, and we'll cover those in the workshop on Saturday. And with that, we will open it up for questions.